This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. For some, summer is their favourite season. The kids are out of school, adventure's the focus, but for others, such as me, juggling it can be tough. It can lead to overwhelm and counting down the minutes and days till those kids are back at school and the cooler weather arrives. Others may be worrying they're wasting their days of sunshine. Now, I'm not one of those people. For me, hot weather and me do not mix. Now, personally, I have a therapist myself, so I can speak openly and honestly about how sometimes those seemingly irrelevant conversations with my therapist can go on to better my life. Because therapy can help you understand your own needs better. It can make you feel more confident, set boundaries, create a version of summer that actually feels good for you, whatever summer looks like for you. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform. It's served over 6 million people globally, and it works. With an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. You don't have to say yes to everything this summer. Find support in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com. That's betterhelp.com. Paranormal experiences don't really work to a timescale, and therefore we invite you to listen to a dark minisode. Hello, every single last one of you, and welcome to the Minisode finale for Season 24. Now, as I mentioned to our patrons through the week, people have asked if, as I've announced, that The Dark Paranormal as a show will also be turning into a video podcast as well as an audio podcast, is there anything different they need to do? And the simple answer is no. Because the audio will be separated from the video by the networks themselves, and they will go right into the RSS feed that you use already, so you don't have to change a single thing. The only thing that you would need to do if you wish to watch the accompanying video is go to youtube.com/The Dark Paranormal and hit subscribe. And then not only will you be able to watch the accompanying video, you'll also be notified when a new one is indeed released. As usual, we will save our shout-outs for Patreon at the end of this episode, but I will say, if you want to submit your experience for the show, as always, as I always say, we are a very fluid show. So yes, we have Season 25, the entire scripting all worked out, but if the right experience lands in my mailbox the day before an episode, there's a good chance it could air the very next day. It's all about the right timing for us. So please do not think we're working through a backlog of emails. Although we technically are, everyone is read as soon as they arrive. And it's more about the right fit in terms of where we are or where we feel we are, in terms of progression and what we've been speaking about recently, that dictates what sits where. So, if you've got an experience that you want featured for Season 25, be it on a minisode, on a main episode, or indeed going into one of our Dark Bites episodes for Patreons, any experience you put forward will find ears. We will make sure it goes to an audience. We're not one of the sort of shows who just resigns emails to the bin. We ensure everyone gets heard because that's the sort of show we want to be. As I said last week, we want this to be a catalogue of this era's darkest paranormal tales. So either go direct to thedarkparanormal.com and click on Submit My Experience, or click the link in the show notes. But right now, for the final time this season, I implore you to find some moments for yourself. Get yourself a nice warm drink, find yourself somewhere to be alone, put your headphones in, and join me for a few moments as we travel into the darkness, as through our final submission for this minisode series, we hear from our listener Emily and her experience with the scent of dread. Hi Kev. Right off the bat, I would like to say I am a skeptic by nature. However, I do love your show. I love all things horror because I don't believe it's real. Or should I say, I now 80% don't believe it's real. It was forever 100%. However, the experience I'm going to now inform you of was the thing that knocked that final 20% off its perch. And now I guess I'd call myself a skeptic with a small s. My name's Emily, and I'm a practice nurse. I've worked in a GP surgery for 11 years. My job is to find rational explanations for things, symptoms, patterns, causes. That's how my brain is wired. That's how it needs to be wired. I've sat across from people having panic attacks, and I've talked them down with nothing but facts and a calm voice. That's why I don't frighten easily. And I don't reach for the supernatural if something ordinary fits. And prior to this, something ordinary fitted every single time. Until it didn't. In 2021, my mother passed away after a 6-month hearty battle with cancer. She was 73 and had been living alone in the house I grew up in since my dad died in 2009. The house is a 1960s semi-detached in a quiet part of Perth. 3 bedrooms, a long back garden, the kind of house that hasn't changed much in 40 years. After she went into the hospice in November, I stayed in that house to look after the place and also be closer to her, and also start the rather morbid task of trying to sort out the estate of someone who was still alive as if they'd already passed. Mum and Dad only had 2 kids, me and my brother. My brother lives in Canada and couldn't get back straight away, so it was just me. My boss gave me 2 weeks compassionate leave, and I went about settling in. But before I go any further, I need to tell you about my grandfather. He died in 1997. I was 19. He'd lived with us for the last 4 years of his life. And I won't dress it up, he was not a kind man. He was the product of a generation. The one that didn't talk about feelings, didn't apologise, didn't say I love you, and didn't see children as people worth much consideration. Plus, he smoked continuously. And I do mean continuously. Chain smoking, stubbing one out and lighting one up. Cigars was his smoke of choice, and I recall on several occasions saying to my mother, he should at least go to the back door. The rest of us have to live here too. But she would try and shush me and say, he's in the last years of his life, love. Let him do what he wants. And so we did. But that also meant the smell of him was inseparable from the smell of tobacco. Stale, heavy, clinging to everything. His armchair, his cardigan, the landing outside his bedroom door. My mother would wash his bedding twice a week, and that smell never shifted. That smell was him. When we were kids, my brother and I were frightened of him already, and for some reason that fear lingered into our adulthood. Not because he'd ever done anything. He hadn't. Well, not exactly. But because of the way he would look at us. Like we were in his way. Even if he was looking at us from the back kitchen as we played in the backyard. As if our presence was an imposition he was tolerating, but not especially well. And when he died, I remember feeling something I was ashamed for years. Relief. But by this point he'd been gone so long, I hadn't thought about him for so long. Not consciously anyway. The first few nights back in that house were fine. Or as fine as they could be in the circumstances. The house felt empty in the way all houses feel empty when the person who once animated them is no longer there. That strange stillness you get when routines and sounds and the small domestic rhythms of a life stop. Like my teenage self would, I slept in my old bedroom. I didn't go into the room that had been my grandfather's at all. I noticed the smell on the fourth night. Not my mother, him. Tobacco smoke, stale and close, coming from the upstairs landing. Not his bedroom, the landing. I stood at the top of the stairs and it was right there. Thick enough that I actually looked around for a source of smoke. I checked the smoke alarm out of instinct. Nothing. No one had smoked in that house since 1997. My mother had repainted, recarpeted, replaced furniture. 24 years of ordinary domestic life had sat on top of whatever he'd left behind. It faded after about 20 minutes, and I told myself the walls were old. Smells can get into plaster, into joists. I told myself that for 4 days. My mother died on the Saturday. She went peacefully in the early hours. I wasn't there. I'd headed home at 1 a.m. They rung me at 4:20 in the morning. After getting back from saying my goodbyes, the sun was up and I decided to take a shower. And the smell hit me immediately. Money goals are things we all have. My personal one is to make sure that I'm mortgage-free by age 50. How am I getting towards that goal? I'm 46, and in 4 years, do I think I'm going to get there? Well, I'm unfoundedly optimistic. But here's the most interesting thing. We only like to talk about money when we've made it, when that goal is achieved. Now, you've probably got our well-being app. Well, Acorns is a financial wellness app that wants to show a little love to everyone who's on their way to a goal. Some people shy away from the word investing because it seems like it's a word for people who know about finance, etc. Believe me, that's not a prerequisite. Acorns is a smart way to give your money a chance to grow. Acorns is easy. You can sign up in minutes and start automatically investing your money, even if you've just got spare change. Acorns supports your big and small goals across every life stage. Plus, the app has the Acorns Potential screen, which shows you the power of compounding and how your money could grow over time. Acorns is an all-in-one. No more finance apps cluttering up your phone. With Acorns, you can invest, save, and give your money a chance to grow in one trusted place. Believe me, I've never seen something like the Acorns Potential screen showing the power of compounding. And even that word, compounding, we all believe that belongs to the ones who work in Wall Street. It doesn't. It's yours as much as theirs. So sign up now and Acorns will boost your new account with a £5 bonus investment. Join the over 14 million all-time customers who already have saved and invested over $27 billion with Acorns. Head to acorns.com/dark paranormal or download the Acorns app to get started.
Paid on client endorsements. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 2 compensation provided. Potential subject to various factors such as customers' accounts, age, and investment settings. Does not include Acorns fees. Results do not predict or represent the performance of any Acorns portfolio. Investment results will vary. Investing involves risk. Acorn Advisors LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/dark paranormal.
So summer has well and truly arrived, at least here in the UK. We're in the midst of a heat wave. I don't like the heat for one simple reason. I cannot dress for the heat. I don't wear shorts. I always wear jeans, or usually. However, since my last advert for Quince, where I mentioned that my friend in America has been sending me things from Quince that I order through them, and I found the quality to be outstanding, I decided to take another look back at Quince to see what they had on offer. And let me just say, my summer wardrobe is looking altogether different this year. Like I say, I don't do shorts, so Quince's European linen pants were perfect. They arrived the other day, and we're in the midst of a heatwave, as I mentioned, and they are perfect. Given I'm a summer jeans wearer, these have never made my legs feel more cool in any summer on record. Not just that, but because Quince focus on quality essentials that feel and look amazing, they are well-made basics, but without that luxury markup. Everything at Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They also work ethically with ethical factories and cut out middlemen, so you're paying for quality, not brand markup. It's genuinely the kind of brand you end up recommending to everyone for everything. Well, most people will. I'll talk about my linen pants because I can wear them at a barbecue in the afternoon, going straight through to evening drinks. Quince's linen pants have changed the way I'm going to dress this summer. So elevate your wardrobe this summer. Go to quince.com/darkparanormal for free shopping on your order and get 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/darkparanormal for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/darkparanormal. You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary. The smell was more overbearing than ever, more powerful. I stopped dead on the landing and I didn't know how to explain what I felt, except to say it wasn't grief. It wasn't the ordinary disorientation of bereavement. This was something older than that. The feeling I used to get as a child when grandfather's bedroom door was open and I had to walk past. I carried on moving. I wasn't going to stand there being frightened by a smell. Over the next 10 days it would come and go, never in the same place. It had begun to move from that landing area to the rest of the house, the kitchen, the back bedroom, my bedroom. Once even in my car on the way to the solicitors, which I've always been less certain about. But the others were different, sudden, immediate, and definite. The way his presence had always been. You would never hear him coming. He was just there. My brother arrived in the second week and I didn't say a thing to him. Even though I declared myself a skeptic, he was the more skeptical of the two. And honestly, I didn't want to say the name out loud, by that I mean my grandfather's name, in that house, because it felt strangely like an invitation. That part I try not to dwell on too much because my logical brain tells me that's ridiculous. However, having listened to all of the shows you've put out, I know that saying someone's name, specifically a deceased person's name, is allegedly some way of calling them forth, or at least can be, if you believe in all that, which of course I didn't at the time. The final night before we handed the house over to the estate agent, we were doing a final walkthrough. My brother took the downstairs and I went to do the bedrooms. I went into his old room last. It was bare, which my mother had already done. Like I say, she'd redecorated, but for some reason she'd left the carpet in there. As I say, I'd not been in, and this to me was validation the smell of smoke was coming from the carpet. I even knelt down to have a good sniff, but it was fresh, or at least it smelt like fabric and not smoke. I stood back, standing in the doorway looking at the room. The carpet held these ghostly indentations of where his bed used to be, where his chair used to be. I could see the indentations faintly visible in the seemingly cleaned carpet. My brother called up from the bottom of the stairs. "Are you done up there?" "Nearly," I replied, and I gave one last look. There was a knock. A single clear knock. Not pipes, not the window frame. A knock the way you would knock on a door. But the way you would knock on a door if someone hadn't heard your first 4 attempts. And it came from the dead center of the room. A deliberate knock on wood in a place where there was no wood nor hand to make the knock. Once more I found myself frozen. staring at the centre of an empty room. I heard my brother impatiently march up the stairs behind me. "What's taking so long here?" He walked into the room. "There's nothing in here. Why are you stood in the..." He paused and his face turned white. His eyes fixed in the corner of the room to my right. I spun my head around. Empty. Nothing there. I turned back to my brother. He literally pushed me out of the way, ran down the stairs, threw open the front door and ran into the street. Almost in a folie à deux, I was about 3 seconds behind him, screaming, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" When I finally got outside to meet him, he had his hands on his knees and was panting. He said, "I've just seen Grandad. I've just seen Grandad." He kept repeating it over and over again. He had to lean against his car. I said, "What do you mean you've just seen Grandad? The room was empty." He looked at me as if I was stupid. He said, "Did you not see him in the corner of the room?" I just shook my head. I still did not want to say to my brother, but I'd smelt him. And I'd heard a knock from the centre of the room seconds before you walked in. I kept that to myself. God knows why, but I did. We both decided that the work we'd done was enough, and we didn't enter the house again. We locked it as we were outside. That day we travelled in his car, and we'd already booked a hotel for the evening. So we travelled to that hotel in complete silence. The next day over breakfast, my brother acted like nothing had happened. And we must have this sceptical, competitive nature, because I too acted like everything was okay. Neither of us have mentioned the incident to each other since the day it happened. I have changed my name for this submission just by chance he listens to the show. But as I say, he is a complete skeptic, much more so than I. Whether that's changed with what he claims he saw, I don't know. But I do know for me, as I said earlier, my skepticism level has dropped rather significantly. Although if a stranger asks, "Am I a skeptic?" I still answer yes. And I wonder what my brother would answer if he was ever asked. Thanks for reading this, Kev. Hopefully I hear it on a minisode or similar. Take care, Emily. Well, Emily, thank you so much for giving us this, our final minisode for season 24. And I do love it, and I'm sorry, that sounds a bit Schadenfreude, when a skeptic is kind of rattled. Or should I say they experience something which makes them question their own skepticism. I think it's a very healthy thing to happen to a skeptic. And also, big points to you for being so open to accept it as unexplainable, even if you do then park it at the back of your mind. And no one will judge you for that, believe me. The fascinating part about this from a human level is this skeptical competition between yourself and your brother. But it does mean that we will never truly know what your brother now makes of that incident, whether he's rationalized it or chose to completely erase it from his existence, which, believe me, people do. But once more, Emily, I know it's not your real name, but thank you for giving us our season 24 minisode finale. Now, don't forget everyone, we have our finale for the Dark Paranormal on Friday, after which there will be a 3-week period without any Dark Paranormal shows. Which means, of all the times, this is the perfect time to claim your free week trial for our highest tier on Patreon, as you will receive 2 30-minute plus fresh episodes each week of those 3 weeks, as well as the entire back catalogue of over 200 hours of Dark Bites. The link's in the show notes, or go to patreon.com/The Dark Paranormal. But for minisodes, this is it. And I'll speak to you for our next minisode next season. Until then, stay safe and take care.